All right, so can you guys see my screen now again?
Yes, sir.
Right, so it's quite hard to breathe. Anyway, let's continue. So is my voice audible? Is it understandable? Is it clear so far? Even though I
Yes, sir.
have a slight cap right now. Anyway, as I'm talking a while ago, we have here delayed delivery. Of course, if you were delayed to the expected timeline, okay, then of course it will reduce the cost or the payment, okay, to your project. So I in our case before, so it's like we are deducting, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 5,000 per day. Okay, so that's like the agreement before. So it's quite big actually. And then our Scrum Master asked to have an extension of a month, and then they agreed to a certain deduction. So they deducted 50,000 pesos. So instead of having negative 150,000, since like 5,000 per day, right? So he was able to uh, talk to the customer or to the company just to deduct maybe just 50,000 instead of 150,000, since 150,000 is already quite big. Though just to give you guys an idea, even though the project was already reduced by 50,000, still a little amount of money, since the project is actually like a million project. Okay, so that is why they agreed that if we are going to be delayed in delivering the projects, it's like 5,000 less 5,000 uh, per day. Okay. Anyway, so we were able to reach that one in a 1 month extension. So I hope that will not happen again, since it will really affect our uh, our payment, okay, as the sideline job on that specific project. Anyway, so we also have the program versus software. Just to make it short, program is the or under the software, or it's a sub, but it's a proper term, subset. Yeah, program is a subset of the software. So the only time that it will become a software is if these requirements are met, or if these three components are met. So there must be a program, of course, the documentation, and then the operating procedures. Okay, so what we only have is actually like programs and then documentation, but we don't have the operating procedures. So this one is the final thing that you guys need to do in order for you to call your project as a software. Okay, because mostly, yes, we have program, we have the documentation, and how did we did that, how did yeah we did that one, how what are things that we've used, what are the methodologies, did we conduct some interview, okay, some testing, and so on and so forth. But we don't have operating procedures. Okay, so it's like this operating procedures is equal to a manual. So what will happen if there are some errors on this feature? So you will write there the like the solution or the things that the customer or user can do if he or she encountered a certain error or a bug. Okay, so ito yung parang kulang sa atin or wala sa atin. So pagkatapos gawin yung final project, you need to create a manual or an operating procedures. Okay, so program is of course code and object code. Documentation is everything, data flow, flow chart, ER diagrams, all the things that you will need in documenting your or while creating your project. And then here's an example of documentation manuals. Of course, you will go to the analysis or specification first, and then you'll now design, and then you'll now implement, and then testing. Okay, but of course after that you need an operating procedures. Okay, so you'll see here that operating procedures consist of instructions to set up and use the software system, and instructions on how to react to the system failure. So this is one thing that we are always missing. Actually, in all of the projects, this is one of the major thing that they are missing. I don't know, but the customers are always not aware that they should have a manual on in case that there is a system failure. So what are the remedies that they can do on their own, with that, without the interaction of the programmer or the one who created the project. Okay, so they should be able to deal with that problem just by reading the manual of the operating procedures. Okay, so you will see here the operation manuals, the one that I'm talking about, and then the user manuals and how to, of course, use that one. Okay, this one is already super obvious. Probably this all of us already will be having this one. Okay, if we are a customer of the that someone. Okay, of course, there is always a guideline on how to use the system, but there is no operation manuals on how to uh, check if, or how to uh, come up with a solution if a problem occurs. Okay. Anyway, so are we clear so far up to this point? Hello, hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay
sir.
naman.
Please just let me know. How about you, Mr. Sigun?
Yes, sir.
Pardon me if sometimes I speak Tagalog. Okay, I know that you cannot understand sometimes what I'm trying to say, but yeah, sometimes I just can't help myself but to explain that one quickly in Tagalog. Okay. Anyway, if you need clarifications, just let me know. Okay. All right. So let's go over now to the SDLC, or the software development lifecycle. So a software lifecycle model uh, or this one is also termed process model, is a pictorial and diagrammatic representation of the software life cycle. So again, we have a lot of SDLCs or methodologies. So I won't be reading everything anymore. Let's go over now to the need of SDLC. So why do we need SDLC? So the development team must determine a suitable life cycle model for a particular plan and then observe it. So this is one crucial thing in identifying what methodology you're going to use to your project. Does it really suit the requirement for your project? Does it really suit the features that you're going to create to your project? Okay, so those are the questions that you must answer before choosing an SDLC. Okay, so you will see later on why you need to choose waterfall, why you need to choose RAD model, why you need to choose agile method, okay, and so on and so forth. So we have here a basic SDLC cycle. Of course, you will start with requirement analysis, defining, designing, coding, testing, and then deployment, and then maintenance. So these are the common development life cycle of the software. Okay, but some of them already has a tweaks, especially if I'm going to choose a specific methodology. Okay, so I won't be reading the definition of each of those anymore since they are, quite straightforward. So I need you guys to read this one also, not just by relying on what I'm seeing right now. So yeah, I won't be reading them anymore since they are quite easy to understand, and everything is already in here. And they are very straightforward. So by reading the stage itself, the stage itself, like it's like you don't need to read the description anymore. You already know what's going to happen in this stage. Okay. Okay. So here are some SDLC models. So we have the waterfall, RAD, spiral, and so on and so forth up to the Big Bang model. So waterfall. Okay. So of course, it has some pieces too. Like for example, it has requirement analysis and specification, design phase, implementation and unit testing, integration and system testing, operation and maintenance phase, and yeah, that's actually it for the pieces of waterfall model. Now, on each of those, everything is already in here for the description. So this is the first one, requirements analysis and specification phase, and so on and so forth, design phase, implementation, and unit testing, up to operation and maintenance phase. Now, what I want you guys to know or hear from me is when to use SDLC waterfall model. So the first thing that you guys might want to read is of course the description. Okay, so just this one only. Don't go over to its pieces yet. So Winston's voice introduced the waterfall model in 1970. This model has 5 phases, so we added requirement up to the maintenance. So the steps always follow in this order and do not overlap. So the developer must complete every phase before the next phase begins. So this model is named waterfall model because its diagrammatic representation resembles a cascade of waterfalls. Okay. Now, if the description is not that clear, then you might want to go over now to the when to use SDLC waterfall model. So why would you use this one? Okay, so in some circumstances where the use of waterfall model is most suited are, so when the requirements are constant and not change regularly. So if this is one of the requirement of your project, or if it was able to fulfill this requirement for your project, then you can probably go with this one. Or if the project is short, the situation is calm, where the tools and technology used is consistent and is not changing, when resources are well prepared and are available to use. Now, you guys have to check everything. So if all of those are met, then that's the only time that you can go with waterfall model. Okay. So you also have to read the advantages and disadvantages of it. So what are the advantages if you're going to use this model? So this model is simple to implement. Also, the number of resources that are required for it is minimal. The requirements are simple and explicitly declared. They remain unchanged during the entire project development. The start and end point for each phase is fixed, which makes it easy to cover progress. The release date for the complete product as well as its final cost can be determined before deployment. It gives easy to control and clarity for the customer due to a strict reporting system. So those are the advantages of this waterfall model. Now, what are the disadvantages? In this model, the risk factor is higher. So this model is not suitable for more significant and complex projects. So yeah, I think this one is ideal for you guys, for the one who's going to take your thesis sooner or later. So especially that you guys are, beginners when it comes to creating projects. So this one is also okay to use. So most of the uh, groups in thesis are using this one, a waterfall model. So this model cannot accept the changes in requirements during development. So this is one major factor that you guys need to check, since of course the advisor is Sir Diane, right? So from time to time, of course, as you propose your project, as you propose the features of your project, even though it's already accepted by now, maybe after 2 weeks or 3 weeks that you will ask Sir Dan to check your project again. So there might be some changes. Okay, maybe you need to add some features, maybe you need to remove some features, maybe you need to change some of your features. Okay, so just do take note with this disadvantage. So it becomes tough to go back to the phase. For example, if the application has now shifted to the coding phase and there is a change in requirement, then it becomes a tap to go back and change it. So since the testing done at a later stage does not allow identifying the challenges and risks in the earlier phase, so the risk reduction strategy is difficult to predict. Okay, so were you guys enlightened so far on when, why to use waterfall model? So are we clear so far? Were you guys able to understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Understood naman.
Understandable, sir.
So let me know, okay, if you guys have a question. Next one is RAD model, or rapid application development model. Now, let me just say this one first. This one is not suitable for a 3 month or 6 months project. Okay, so do not use this one. Okay, so RAD model is a linear sequential software development process model that emphasizes a concise development cycle using an element-based construction approach. If the requirements are well understood and described, and the project scope is a constraint, the RAD process enables a development team to create a fully functional system within a concise time period. So I would say that, yeah, this one is quite suitable, but the only thing that you guys are missing is you guys are not expert. That's one major problem. Even me, I'm not an expert, so I I never use RAD model. Okay, so I go with iterative, I go with agile, okay, I go with waterfall sometimes, but never with RAD model. Okay, so RAD model is a concept that products can be developed faster of a higher quality through gathering requirements using workshop or focus groups. Okay, prototyping and early iterative user testing of designs, the use of software components. So which one thing that we are missing? So wala tayo nito, reuse of software components. So if you have an existing software project that is related to what you're creating right now, then yeah, probably you can do that one. Okay, you can go with this one since you already have an existing project. But if no, then don't go with the RAD model. So a rigidly based schedule first design improvements to the next product version. Okay, so less formality in reviews and other team communication. So in each module, of course, they're going to do this one everything, these 5 steps: business modeling, data modeling, process modeling, application generation, and then testing, and then turnover. So each module will be presented to your customer. Okay. So module 1, module 2, module 3, if you have 10, 15, 20 modules, then you have to do the same in everything. Okay, and then here are the descriptions. You just read them later on. Now, when to use RAD model? So when the system should need to create a project that modularizes in a short span time, like 2 to 3 months. Okay, so this one is a quick, parang mabilisan. So it's a fast-paced span of time project. So if you guys are beginners, like you're still learning in 1 month and 2 months, then this one is not really for you. So when the requirements are well known, when the technical risk is limited, okay, so technical risk. So we are not that expert. So mostly we're going to have a lot of technicality issues, especially in maybe from the front end to the back end. Okay, so when there's a necessity to make a system which modularize in 2 to 3 months of period, so yeah, and it should be used only if the budget allows the use of automatic code generating tools. So since we are in a fast-paced project, so we have to use a lot of automatic code generating tools wherein it has to check your codes automatically. Okay, so not just you and your teammates are checking it manually. Okay, so most likely we let the computer, we let a certain tool, a certain software to check our work. So here are the advantages. This model is flexible for change. In this model, changes are adaptable. Each phase in RAD brings highest priority functionality to the customer. It reduces development time. It increases the reusability of features. And these are the disadvantages. It required highly skilled designers. So just like what I mentioned a while ago, since you guys are beginners, even me, again, it needs a highly skilled designer. So it's like an expert or senior programmer. And then all application is not compatible with RAD, of course. And then for smaller projects, you cannot use the RAD model. This one is most likely used for big projects. And then your thesis, is of course this is small project. Since you guys are just doing, you're just going to do that one in 6 months, 3 to 6 months. So it's still considered as a small project. Okay. And then on the high technical risk, it's not suitable. So for a person who always have a lot of errors in their codes, so this is not really an option. Required user involvement for class. So are we clear on when and how and why to use RAD model?
Yes, understood naman, sir.
What about the others? So can you guys still follow other than Mr. Labsan?
Yes, sir.
Hulog yata ulit ko eh. Anyway, so let's go over now to the spiral model. So this one is of course looks like a spiral. Okay, since that is where the name came from. Spiral models initially proposed by Bowen is an evolutionary software process model that couples the iterative feature of prototyping with controlled and systematic aspects of the linear sequential models. It implements the potential for rapid development of new versions of software. So using a spiral model, the software is developed in a series of incremental releases. During the early iterations, the additional release may be a proper model or prototype, and during later iterations, more and more complete versions of the engineered systems are produced. So again, this is the spiral model. And then here are the things that are the stages under spiral model. So object setting, risk assessment, and so on and so forth. Now, when this is spiral model, so when the difference is required to be frequent, if you are in a rush in a certain feature or in every feature or in every module, then this one is ideal. When the project is large, also of course, since from time to time, there are some cases wherein even though the project or the software itself is not yet complete, uh, the company or your customer are already using some of its features. Okay, so it's also okay. Okay, and then the others are still under maintenance. So there are some cases like that. So yeah, you can do this one. You can deliver already this module and then let them use it. And then after a week, they'll give you a feedback if it's really usable. If there are some errors, there are some bugs. And yeah, until the project is already done. Okay, and then when requirements are unclear and complex, so yeah, this one is really suitable for that kind of project if they are uncertain of what they really wanted to happen on that specific system. Okay, when changes may require at any time, large and high budget projects. So this one is for international companies. Okay, so yeah, it's like a 1 million peso project. Advantages. So high amount of risk analysis, useful for large and mission critical projects. So here are the disadvantages: can be costly model to use, risk analysis needs highly particular expertise, doesn't work well for smaller projects. Again, yeah, spiral model is not good for you guys to start with. Please do not use this one for now unless you are with a big project. Okay, so are we clear with spiral model?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. So next one is B model. So B model also referred to as the verification and validation model. That's why it's called B model from those two major part of this model. So in this, each phase of SDLC must complete before the next phase starts. It follows a sequential design process, same as the waterfall model. Testing of devices planned in parallel with the corresponding stage of development. So here is the V model itself. So we have here the verification phase, and then we have here the validation phase. So this verification phase is under the developer's life cycle. So you and your team, and then under this is the tester's life cycle. Okay, so after you're done with maybe a high level design, so they will now, or the tester can now go over with component testing and then go with system integration and then acceptance testing. Okay, so here are the descriptions of each of those phases or stages. So again, I won't be reading them anymore. And yeah, this one is for the validation phase. And when to use B models, when the requirement is well defined and not ambiguous. So if it's already clear, everything is already well defined, then we can use B model. The V-shaped model should be used for small to medium-sized projects where requirements are clearly defined and fixed. So this one is ideal for small projects also. However, you need a uh, a committed customer, because from time to time you can present one module and then let him or her test your project. Okay, and then yeah, that's the only I think that's the main advantage, I guess, of this V model. So you have this so-called commitment, okay, to your customer. Like you are already, you are really, really committed in doing all the features that your customer is needing you to do. Okay. All right. So just wait a second. I just need to cough. Okay. Since there are now some phlegms on me or on my throat. Sorry for the term. Sorry for the word. So 1 minute. Okay. All right. So sorry for that. All right. So where are we now? Okay, so let me just check if you guys are still around. So just give me thumbs up if you guys are still there. All right. So thank you so much for your response, guys. That's an assurance that you guys are listening. Okay. Anyway, so let's go over now on why to use, okay, a V model or this one. So advantages, pros of V model. So it's easy to understand since it's module by module. Testing methods like planning, test designing happens well before coding, since we have this so-called, again, uh, communication, okay, or commitment to your customer. So this saves a lot of time, hence a higher chance of success over the waterfall model. So it's like it's saying here that, instead of actually the only difference is the waterfall will deliver the project once everything's done. It's already over. Okay. But this one is a lot better since this one is like, a waterfall model also. But this one, your project or your module will be delivered from time to time. So again, that's one thing that a waterfall model doesn't have, the commitment or the communication to the customer from time to time. Okay. So yeah, this one is ideal if we have this communication to your customer. But if it's not, then this one is not useful anymore. Okay, so you will fall under the waterfall model. Okay, if you don't have that uh, commitment or communication to your customer. This one avoids download flow of defects, works well for small plans where requirements are easily understood. Okay. So here are some disadvantages. So very rigid and least flexible, not a good for complex project. Software is developed during the implementation stage. So no early prototypes of the software are produced. If any changes happen in the midway, then the test document along with the required documents has to be updated. Okay. So yeah, you guys can also use this one, but I don't recommend. Okay. So use waterfall model. This one is high risk, especially if the customer is always busy. All right, so are we clear under V model? No, guys, are you guys still around?
Yes, sir. Clear naman po.
We now only have 7 minutes left, so I guess we're going to have part 3. So I'm not sure yet, but let's try to finish this one. So next one is incremental model. So incremental model is the process of software development for requirements divided into multiple standalone modules. Okay. So in this model, each modules goes through the requirements, design, implementation, and testing phases. So every subsequent release of the module adds function to the previous release. So the process continues until the complete system is achieved. Okay, so we have this one. So this one is ideal if all of you are programmers, because in some cases, in every group we have this one or two programmers, and then let's say there are two more members, right? So the other one will make documentation, and then the other one probably will just an assistant on both teams for the documentation or for the programming, or that one person who's rich, okay, no, most likely he's the one who's going to ask you to go to his place, and then he's the one who's going to supply your foods, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your call this one, uh what do you call in English, merienda, snacks. Okay, so yeah, so in every group we have this one person who is rich. Okay, I'm not saying that that person is like the one that doesn't do anything but just to give food or give money for the project, or the one who's going to sponsor the entire project. But yeah, I'm just saying that there is this one person who's going to offer their place for you to stay together and then do the project together, of course. Okay, so of course, if you guys are in one place, you'll be able to understand each other more. You'll be able to finish the uh, modules or the pieces of your projects work. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you're going to do or go over with the requirements first, or all of the features, and then one will design or develop this one, and then we'll test, of course, and then we'll implement, and then the others will do the same. Okay. Now, when to use incremental model? So when the requirements are superior and a project has a lengthy development schedule, when software team are not very well skilled or trained. So this one is also okay. Incremental model for you guys to use to your thesis. So when the customer demands a quick release of the product, so yeah, release is like 2 to 3 months, up to 6 months. So yeah, this one is quite ideal. So you can develop prioritize requirements first. So here are the advantage of incremental model. So errors are easy to be recognized, easier to test and debug, more flexible, simple to manage risk because it handled during its iteration. The client gets important functionality early. And then here are some disadvantages. So of course, need for good planning. You have to have a good master, okay, or a group leader. So if he or she will be able to plan everything, then that is what is really really ideal. And next one is, of course, total cost is high. Why this one is total cost is high? Because this one needs a lot of group members. So in order for you to finish the project real quick, since this one is a quick release product or modules or a project, so let's just say that one person per module. But what if there are, say, 15 modules, 20 modules? So yeah, you can have 20 people. So that is why it's already uh, costly. Okay, the cost is already high if you have 20 members doing each module. But of course, you can also like maybe have 5 members. So each member will build, with 4 modules. So yeah, of course, the payment for a programmer, okay, or a developer is quite high. Okay, so if you need more people for developers, then you're already paying a lot of money for that one. Okay, but since you guys will not pay someone to do your project, it is you guys who's going to do the project, then yeah, just help each other in order to finish everything. So we could say that this one is not uh, costly for now. Okay, but in industrial work, okay, then this one is really costly. And then well-defined module interfaces are, of course, needed. Okay, so are we clear so far under incremental model?
Yes, sir. Clear naman po.
All right, so thank you so much for your response. Anyway, so we don't have enough time anymore, so I guess we're going to have part three, so maybe just 10 to 20 minutes on part three, since we still have 10 slides to finish. So yeah, just bear with me, guys, since this is really important. These are the foundation, okay, of software design. So you guys need to know the cons and then pros of those models. So yeah, goodbye for now, and then see you guys on part.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you po, sir.